Hi, it's Mary.
And it's Ruthie here. We are bringing you a mother-daughter Devo today, which is kind of fun. I think we are a first, so that's awesome.
Today we will be focusing on 1 Peter 4, 7 to 11. Ruthie has been focusing on 7 and 8, which is, the end of all things is at hand. Therefore, be self-controlled and sober-minded for the sake of your prayers. Above all, keep loving one another earnestly, since love covers a multitude of sins.
So, like my mom said, I'm focusing on the part about being self-controlled and sober-minded, which I think is interesting because the verse immediately after that talks about loving one another earnestly, and I really see that these two things are very much connected. So the way that's looked in my life lately is that I've been really trying to pursue relentless accountability with one of my friends because I'm part of leading a support group right now, and I really feel like I want to fireproof my life so that it's as effective as it can be. I was telling my mom earlier, we kind of have a silly system. So in my specific apartment, I'm not allowed to have pets, which makes me kind of sad, but it is what it is. But anyway, we all have different things that we struggle with, and so my friend and I have agreed to every night. She sends me a message and she says no cats, which is our joke about what I struggle with, and then I say no cows for what she struggles with. And we'll send each other like a silly gif of cows and cats and stuff, and that's sort of our system to like every night check in, make sure we're staying on track. So I guess I want to say, like, it doesn't have to be super serious and intense the way you go about it, it can still be fun and silly, but intentional. And I think it's especially important right now to have systems like that in place because things like addiction are on the rise. Like, it's a lot easier for me to eat more ice cream than I used to eat. And we just had a family gathering. I have a lot of ice cream in my freezer, unfortunately. So I know Heather can help me with that. But it's especially important now to stay on top of those things because when you are isolated, it becomes harder. And now more than ever, with our world really being especially needy in the middle of a crisis, we want to be as available as possible. It's not to say that, if you don't have accountability, just give up on ministry right now. That's not what I'm saying. But if you don't have accountability, go ahead and pursue it. You can join a small group. We have hybrid small groups. We have groups that meet in person, groups that are just meeting virtually. There really is something for everyone. So make sure that you are plugged in somewhere. The second half of our passage that my mom is going to be focusing on next says, show hospitality to one another without grumbling. As each has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace. Whoever speaks, as one who speaks of oracles of God. Whoever serves, as one who serves by the strength that God supplies, in order that in everything God may be glorified through Jesus Christ. To him belong glory and dominion forever and ever. Amen. So, Mom, how have you been practicing this?
Well, this is my line. I've been working on becoming a front porch person in a back deck world.
So for the people who haven't heard you say this before, what does that mean?
Well, when you're on your front porch, you can greet everyone who walks by, but often it's easier to hide out on the back deck with the family and friends that you know really well, rather than initiate relationships with those that you don't know so well.
So true.
I struggled with being an initiator in relationships, and I realized I'm not the only person who waits for the other person to talk first. When it comes to conversation, it doesn't come naturally to me. I've had to work to be an initiator.
Okay, so for the people that you fooled into thinking you're a raging extrovert, how did this change happen? Because you used to be somebody who was very quiet and shy and kept to yourself. So when did this happen?
Well, someone once told me that shy people are selfish, and I was really offended. I didn't like that. But then I realized that I was selfishly always thinking of myself, and that's why I didn't know what to say to somebody else, was because I was concerned about what they were thinking of me rather than thinking of them.
Yeah. So what are some things that you do now that really have helped with this?
Well, I write notes, I make phone calls, I walk the dog and greet people and talk to people in my neighborhood, using things like sewing and baking and things like that.
Okay, I'm going to stop you with baking because I've been benefiting from one of my mother's connection points. What have you been doing with baking during this pandemic?
Well, one night I had this crazy wild idea, and I said to Andy, my husband, I think it would be fun to do a cookie tournament. And I thought that he would think it was like, this is a no-go. But what it became is we set up brackets. I came up with 16 different recipes, and we have made it a tournament. So my neighbors and some friends have been getting 2 different kinds of cookies each Friday afternoon, evening, and then they get their vote to me to tell me which one is the best. And so the best one moves on to the next bracket. So we've completed all 16 recipes so far. And so now we're on to, I believe we're calling this the quarterfinals.
Yeah, right now, toffee, almonds, sandies, and molasses snickerdoodles are facing off. So I'm just going to say for the record, I think this is better than March Madness, but that's just me. So anyway, are there anything else that you've done that's helped you with connecting to people even though you feel shy?
Well, I had to come up with a way to know what to say to people.
Yeah.
So, excuse me, I developed a list of questions that I ask people when I don't know what I should say. You know, like I can ask them about where do they live, or what do they like to do, about their family, hobbies. Usually, after a few questions, you find a place of connection.
Yeah. I also think it's really, really funny. Both of my parents are very introverted, and they had me, and I'm super extroverted. But it still happens. And I don't know, you had something you wanted to say about that.
Yes, you don't become, excuse me. Oh dear. You don't become the person you want to be accidentally.
Yeah.
It takes living intentionally. So I have not become the person that's able to initiate because one day I woke up, voila, able to talk to people, because I've had to work at it. But it is so rewarding, very rewarding.
For sure. And I think intentional living really is the crux of the verses in 1 Peter. So
shall we read the whole thing?
Yeah, we don't want to leave you hanging. You've heard this thing in 2 parts. We want to hear the whole thing. Are you ready? Okay. The end of all things is at hand. Therefore, be self-controlled and sober-minded for the sake of your prayers. Above all, keep loving one another earnestly, since love covers a multitude of sins.
Show hospitality to one another without grumbling. As each has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace. Whoever speaks, as one who speaks oracles of God. Whoever serves, as one who serves by the strength that God supplies, in order that in everything God may be glorified through Jesus Christ. To him be glory and dominion forever and ever. Amen.
That's all we got for you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you when we see you. Bye.
Bye.